The Bold and the Beautiful B&B, spoilers for Tuesday, October 15, reveal that Brooke Logan, Katherine Kelly Lang, will remain skeptical of Taylor Hayes. Rebecca Budig claims Taylor tried to explain that Brooke misunderstood the situation at the Cliff House, but her explanation didn't do much to ease Brooke's mind. Brooke scoffed over Taylor's broken heart syndrome confession and insisted this was just another way to manipulate Ridge Forrester, Thorsten Kaye, back into her life. Of course, Taylor will deny that on Tuesday's B&B episode, and perhaps admit the whole story, starting with her wrong heart failure diagnosis and her fear that she didn't have much time left. Taylor may also admit she was just as skeptical as Brooke when Dr. Grace Buckingham, Cassandra Creech, told her she had broken heart syndrome instead. Nevertheless, it's a very real medical condition, and there are test results to back up Dr. Buckingham's findings. Even if Brooke eventually buys Taylor's updates, she may have a problem with this intimate chakra healing ritual. It's incredibly inappropriate for Taylor to be in Ridge's lap, so Brooke may think lines were definitely crossed here. Next, Ridge will head to the Forrester mansion, where Eric Forrester, John McCook, will grill him about what's really going on with Taylor. Eric may express concern about Ridge getting too close to his ex and risking damage to his relationship with Brooke. Will Ridge admit Taylor's illness or continue to keep that news under wraps? Whatever the case, Brooke will ultimately have a conversation with Ridge about what she witnessed at the Cliff House, so he'll do his best to reassure her. In the meantime, Steffy will return home and face Taylor's admission. Taylor will realize she'd better come clean to Steffy about her health, so she'll confess her broken heart syndrome and praise Ridge for his support. Steffy will no doubt be alarmed over Taylor's condition, but she'll be glad Ridge has been there for her and may think a romantic reunion is the cure to what ails her. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Steffy could make it her mission to push Ridge and Taylor back together after this, so stick with us for more predictions on all the drama. CDL will have other sizzling Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, predictions, updates, and news to check out, so make us your favorite B&B hotspot. The October 15 episode of The Bold and the Beautiful continued the tension-filled storyline that has captivated fans for weeks. On this particular day, emotions ran high as Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, revealed the truth about her health condition, while Brooke Logan, Katherine Kelly Lang, remained highly suspicious of Taylor's motives. Ridge Forrester, Thorsten Kaye, found himself caught in the middle once again, torn between his concern for Taylor and his commitment to Brooke. Meanwhile, Steffy Forrester, Jacqueline Massinswood, was faced with shocking revelations about her mother's health, leaving her to question her next steps. The episode kicked off with Brooke continuing to express doubts about Taylor's health condition. After spying on the emotional scene between Ridge and Taylor at the Cliff House the previous day, Brooke had stormed inside to confront her longtime rival. Taylor had explained that she was suffering from a real medical condition, broken heart syndrome, but Brooke wasn't buying it. Brooke scoffed at the idea, accusing Taylor of using her illness as a ploy to manipulate Ridge and bring him closer to her. On Tuesday's episode, Taylor doubled down on her diagnosis, insisting that it wasn't some sort of emotional game, but a legitimate medical condition. She admitted that she, too, had been skeptical when Dr. Grace Buckingham, Cassandra Creech, first told her about the syndrome. Taylor explained how her initial diagnosis had been even more dire, heart failure, and how she had feared she didn't have much time left. This wrong diagnosis had led her to believe she was running out of time to make things right with her family. But Taylor then shared how Dr. Buckingham had followed up with test results that confirmed she had broken heart syndrome, a condition triggered by severe emotional distress. Despite the initial confusion, the diagnosis was very real, and Taylor urged Brooke to understand that she was going through an actual health crisis. Even after hearing the full story, Brooke wasn't convinced. She remained highly suspicious of Taylor's motives, especially when it came to Ridge. In Brooke's mind, Taylor's emotional breakdown during the chakra healing session, where she sat in Ridge's lap and aligned their chakras, was crossing a line. Brooke argued that it was highly inappropriate for Taylor to be so physically close to Ridge, especially considering their complicated romantic history. Brooke voiced her belief that Taylor was using her illness to manipulate Ridge into becoming emotionally vulnerable around her. She feared that this would inevitably lead to a romantic reunion, something Brooke had been dreading for years. Although Taylor tried to assure Brooke that her intentions were pure and that she was simply trying to heal emotionally and physically, Brooke wasn't convinced. Brooke made it clear that she didn't trust Taylor and that she was determined to protect her marriage to Ridge at all costs. The lingering animosity between these two women only intensified as Brooke remained unwilling to believe that Taylor's health crisis was anything but a carefully crafted plan to get Ridge back. Meanwhile, Ridge made his way to the Forrester mansion, where his father, Eric Forrester, John McCook, was waiting for him. Eric had been keeping an eye on the situation between Ridge, Taylor, and Brooke from a distance, and he was growing concerned about what he had been hearing. When Ridge arrived, Eric wasted no time in confronting him about the growing connection between Ridge and Taylor. Eric was worried that Ridge's relationship with Taylor was becoming too close, which could lead to serious damage to his marriage with Brooke. As someone who had been married to multiple women himself, Eric knew all too well how quickly things could spiral out of control when feelings from the past resurfaced. Ridge, however, wasn't quite ready to admit the full extent of what had been happening with Taylor. He was torn between his loyalty to Brooke and his undeniable connection to Taylor, who was going through a difficult time. When Eric pressed him for answers, Ridge remained somewhat vague, admitting that Taylor was dealing with a serious medical condition, but stopping short of revealing just how intimate their interactions had become. Despite Eric's concern, Ridge tried to reassure him that everything was under control. Ridge explained that he was simply supporting Taylor during a tough time, and there was nothing more to it. However, Eric could tell that Ridge was conflicted, and he warned his son to tread carefully. Eric urged Ridge to think about his relationship with Brooke and the consequences of getting too close to Taylor once again. Later in the episode, Steffy returned home to find her mother waiting for her. Taylor knew that she had to come clean to Steffy about her health condition, so she sat her daughter down and explained everything. Taylor revealed that she had been diagnosed with broken heart syndrome, a condition that had initially been mistaken for heart failure. She detailed the emotional distress she had been experiencing and how Ridge had been there to support her throughout the healing process. Steffy was visibly shaken by the news. The idea of her mother being seriously ill was frightening, but she was grateful that Ridge had been there to help. However, Steffy couldn't help but wonder if there was more going on between her parents than just emotional support. She had always believed that Ridge and Taylor shared a deep bond that went beyond friendship, and this situation only reinforced that belief. Steffy's mind quickly began to turn toward the possibility of a romantic reunion between her parents. In Steffy's eyes, Ridge and Taylor belonged together, and maybe this health crisis was the catalyst that would bring them back into each other's lives in a meaningful way. While Taylor tried to downplay any romantic involvement with Ridge, Steffy wasn't so sure. She began to see this as an opportunity to push her parents back together, believing that their reunion might just be the key to healing Taylor's broken heart.